Hey Toads, today we're going to talk about one of my favorite things that I get to do in my job every day, and one of the tools that helps me personally to solve problems really well, and something that I hope maybe can help you out as well, and that is sketching. Let's talk a little bit about what sketching really is, right? It may seem obvious what sketching is, but really sketches come in all kinds of different types, as we're going to see soon. But Really, the thing to focus on here is, what is the point of sketching? Why do we sketch? Well, first of all, sketching is a thinking tool. Sketching helps you to think through problems in a much richer way. It helps you to explore alternatives and see how something might turn out in a very fast and very low fidelity way so that you can push your thinking more than you could just by staying in your head the entire time. The visual artifact really helps your brain to get your head around the problem a lot faster. Sketching is also a collaboration and communication tool. Sketches are such a valuable way to quickly exchange ideas with other people and say, hey, is this what we're thinking? Or, hey, here's a way that I thought maybe we could solve this, and quickly exchange those ideas. The visual medium of it, because it's visual and everybody can see it, all of a sudden everybody can understand it much better than trying to give an explanation in words. A picture really is worth 1,000 words. Sketches are also low fidelity by design. The thing about sketching is it is a thinking tool. You're not trying to create art here. What we're trying to do is simply use a sketch as a disposable artifact to get us toward a solution or figure out part of a problem. And so when we create sketches of any type, we're usually trying to do it in a very low fidelity way. And finally, the other thing about sketches that's really important to remember is that sketches should be fast. This is all about enabling speed and helping you think through a problem faster and deeper in a much more efficient way. And sketches are an excellent way to do that. Now, let's look at what a sketch actually is. Now, a lot of us think that we know what a sketch is, right? Sketching is kind of obvious. We see sketches all the time, people jotting things down on a sheet of paper, whatever it is. But a sketch really, if you think about it, is really a tool that just helps you think through a problem or communicate an idea in a low fidelity way very quickly. So sketches can take lots of different forms. Let's look at some of the different forms that you can use when you're sketching. So first of all, we have the traditional sketch, the thing that we normally think of, pen and paper, pencil and paper, sketching something out really roughly and showing a very rough picture of what something looks like. This is absolutely sketching, and it's the type of sketching that you see most commonly. But also, wireframes like this could also be considered sketches, because ultimately, if we're putting together a low fidelity representation of what it is and using that to think through the problem or communicate it to somebody else, it also is a sketch. Another version of a sketch that people don't think of very often as a sketch is something like this. A quick, say, 30-minute proof of concept technical demo. As you can see here in my command line, I've got an API endpoint, and I'm simply using curl to test that API endpoint, see if I can get the correct response back, see if the data exchange makes sense here, and start to really understand what is my contract between the front end and the back end, and how will this work. This is also an example of a sketch and a way that you can really move your thinking ahead very quickly in a very low fidelity way. Also, another way you can think about sketching is something that looks kind of like this. A series of screens that are put together in an app that don't really have much in them. It might just be a series of routes and empty pages that say, hey, something happens here, and on this page, this will happen. But the thing about putting something like this together is it still qualifies as a sketch. It helps us to think through, is this the right sequence? Is this the right flow? It helps us to communicate it to a client and show it to them and say, you would go to this page, and then you would click this, and this is where this would live. And so now everybody can see the vision together. So it serves as both a collaboration tool and a communication tool in that instance. This is something that I personally really love doing because it helps me to think through the overall experience of using a product very quickly. Another example of a sketch might be something like this. an unfinished view in a web app. So in this case, we have a page where, yeah, we've got some navigation, we've got some elements, but then there's a big area here that's essentially a giant to-do. Something happens here. Well, this is also a sketch. It's low fidelity. It's helping us to understand how will this page generally work. Yeah, we know that something will go in here. We don't exactly know what it'll look like yet, but we can start to get our head around, is that the right place for it to go? Is this the right place in the sequence? Is this how this should flow? That is also a sketch. So let's talk about why we sketch. Why do we do this? Well, there's a lot of different reasons why we can use sketches, and there's a lot of advantages to using sketches that you really can't get out of other forms of artifacts. So sketches first are really great for exploring ideas. When you sketch and you get good at sketching fast, you can run through so many different permutations of ideas and test different things very, very quickly to see if this works or that works, or to understand the space a lot more quickly. So exploring ideas is one of the primary things that we use sketches for. Another really important thing that sketches do is sketches help to create a shared vision. Right? We've all had this experience where we're all sitting around a table, we're talking about a feature or a product or something like that, and you get this feeling that, wait a second, I don't know if we're talking about the same thing here. Whenever you're sitting around a table with a lot of people talking about something and you're just talking about it, everybody has a different view of what that thing will be in their head. Your goal as a designer, as a builder, as an engineer, as a project manager, whoever it is, your job and your power that you have using sketches is to pull those pictures out of people's heads and put one single thing in front of everybody in the middle of the table. Now everyone's looking at the same thing, and now we've pulled it out of their heads so there's no mystery about what people are thinking, and we're all looking at the same shared vision. Extremely powerful for getting everybody aligned very quickly. Sketches also are really great for communicating ideas. You might have an idea of how to solve a problem. Maybe it's even a technical thing and you're sketching the architecture, you're sketching a data flow or something like that. This is a really great way to sit down with somebody and in 5 minutes say, hey, I was kind of thinking it might work like this. What do you think? And that's such a better and faster way to do it than writing out a lengthy explanation of it or even building it and then seeing what people think. Going and doing the sketch collaboratively with somebody else to communicate those ideas can really help save a ton of time. You can also use sketches in the same way to collaboratively solve problems. You can sit with somebody in front of a whiteboard and say, hey, I don't know how we're going to do this. Let's sketch together and figure it out. And as you start to put that sketch together on a whiteboard or in front of a shared piece of paper that you're working on together, you'll start to see the problem space really come together. And now you can collaborate much more effectively, again, because of the shared vision and the single artifact that you're using to think through the idea. Another great way to use a sketch is to make technical concepts easier to understand. One of the things that we do with clients is we build a lot of complex things that a lot of people don't understand. And there's a lot to what we build and all kinds of layers and all kinds of facets to it that are kind of complicated and hard to explain to clients sometimes. We can use sketches to make technical concepts, things like caching or persistence or whatever it is, latency. We can use sketches to help communicate those ideas visually, to bring them back down to earth and say, you know what, the idea of caching sounds complicated, but really it's not that hard. Here's basically what it looks like. And we can draw a picture of that to help a client better understand it. So there's lots of different ways that we can use sketches, from exploring ideas to collaborating together to creating shared vision, and it's an incredibly powerful tool for all of these different situations. Okay, a few things that I want you to remember about sketching, because I really want everybody to start thinking about using sketching as a way to explore and collaborate in your work moving forward. But I do want you to know a few things about it. The first thing is, and this is really important because this is what everybody always says when I preach about sketching, they say, Justin, I'm not an artist, I'm not good at drawing, I can't do that. We already saw. Sketching isn't necessarily always pen and paper, pencil and paper, fine art. And in fact, sketching is not the same as drawing. When we draw something, we're looking to really represent what that thing looks like, or we're trying to represent an idea in our head in high fidelity and with a certain degree of precision. With sketching, we're not worried about precision and we're not worried about fidelity. We're really worried about the thinking that's going on. So if you can use a pencil or you can use any kind of implement and you can think, then you have everything that you need to be able to sketch. If you can draw a box and an arrow, you are a professional sketcher. The next thing that I want to mention is that the level of fidelity in your sketches should match the level of thinking that you have in your decision making. So when you're sketching, you might just sketch an empty box and say, I don't know, something happens here, or yada, yada, yada. There's kind of some stuff over here and kind of some stuff over here, and we kind of think it'll come together like this. Maybe we don't know any more than that right now, but that's okay, because we can go ahead and just at a very high level say, all right, gut check before we go further. This is the general idea that I'm thinking. Does that make sense? And if so, then we can move to the next layer of fidelity as our thinking gets more and more clear. The other thing is that sketching generally can have layers applied to it over time. You might start with a very, very rough sketch, a few boxes and arrows, just to say, does this generally feel like the right idea? Then you might go in and start filling in the boxes. Okay, so on this screen, we'll probably have something like this. And then over here, maybe it'll kind of work like this. And then as your thinking gets better, you can apply more and more layers to the same sketch, even if you want to get to a better, more thorough understanding of what you're trying to solve. So I hope that you've gotten some out of this. I hope that you'll all put sketching to use in your work every day. It's something that I use all the time. You guys have undoubtedly, you've been in calls with me where you've seen me pick this tablet up and show sketches to clients, or you've seen me pass sketches around, and you're going to see a lot more of that. I believe that sketching is one of the most powerful tools that we have as creative people and as builders and as engineers and designers. And I think it's one of the most important tools we can use, whether it's collaboration, idea exploration, or communicating with clients. I hope to see a lot of your all sketches really soon. Thank y'all.